Thank you for tuning in once again to Gods, Demons, and Magic. This is your host, Sri Sachinandan Das. We've been discussing the Egyptian mysteries by Iamblichus, and within this ancient text, the Egyptian priest Abaman is answering the questions of the Greek philosopher Porphyry, and he's really describing the invocation through magic ritual of various supernatural beings. And we've already discussed what it's like when the gods appear within your ritual, which is an extremely exalting experience and raises the consciousness, purifies one and illuminates one. And when the archangels appear, then you feel a sense of their strength and their power, and they're bringing the universe into harmony and order. And really, they clarify the mind, and they sort of like make the various situations of life clear to you, what should be done. They illuminate a certain part of your life or a certain question you may have. Now, when angels appear, they appear in more of a spectral form. We heard about when the gods appear and when the archangels appear, they have a very concrete form. It's like if someone physical is standing right before you. Of course, they're glowing and they're effulgence, and just by coming in contact with them or being in the same room with them, your consciousness is raised, and yet they appear to be a physical being, standing there with you. With the angels, it's not so. They're less of a physical being and more of like a luminous being, which is there with you. It's very similar also to the daemons, which we'll hear about next. And their appearance, just as the archangels were inferior to the gods, so similarly the angels are inferior to the archangels. In fact, as we heard, when the archangels appear, the angels come as their retinue. They come before them and they follow after them, just like the servants of a king. And their appearance is milder than the archangels. The archangels, just like the gods, they were kind of overwhelming. In fact, it's even hard to breathe in their association. And we even heard with the gods, they almost like knock you off your feet, like you can't even tell which way is up, which way is down. And it's really like with the gods, it's like an all-encompassing vision where you can no longer see the world practically. Like you may be in a temple or within a grotto or a cave or something performing this ritual with your fellow initiates. But when they appear, it's like the whole world disappears and all that's there is the vision. And you're kind of drawn into this vision. You can't even see the world around you. And it's so bright that it blots out the sun even. Can you imagine that? If it's done in the daytime, right? What to speak of the moon and the stars. But with the angels, the archangels, it was somewhat milder. But with the angels, it's much more low-key. And just as the archangels made you feel order, they made you feel strength, right? So the angels also make you feel order, but they make you feel peaceful. You feel totally relaxed, right? And the archangels, they kind of stood in one place and they stood still. They're almost like a king, like a divine power setting things in order. And they make you feel confidence and like their strength is really emanating throughout the universe and there's nothing to fear. They're in total control. So the angels, they don't stay in one place. Like they'll move around, like they'll kind of move around the room. And they partake of a degree of the beauty of the archangels, meaning they're sort of like within the retinue of archangels, and they're manifesting a certain portion of the beauty of the archangels. They're not nearly on the same level. And whereas the archangels would participate in the divine drama, like the ceremony that's being performed, it would be like sort of a dramatic reenactment and sort of an evocation of the symbols and rituals associated with that particular archangel. The archangel may actually participate, like all the angelic lights and everything would move around the dancers of the drama. Like you're performing this ritual which takes the form of a theatrical drama, and the archangel will actually move around within the drama, like moving around and beautiful luminous lights sort of shaking, or you might say dancing, in the midst of this performance. So the angels, they will actually kind of stand in one place, and they won't move around or dance around or anything like that in the midst of the drama, but they will start speaking. You all of a sudden can imagine like you're performing this ritual, and all the initiates have their masks or whatever it is. These rituals, unfortunately, are lost to us. But they're going about this drama, and each person is saying their particular words and stuff like that. and then all of a sudden they hear disembodied voices start speaking all over the place, very beautiful voices, right? And once you hear this speaking going on, you know the angels have appeared. And of course, when they appear, then they're moving. They don't participate in the ritual, but then when you see the manifestation of the angels, which is resplendent with light, it's not quite as brilliant as the gods or the archangels, but there's this luminous, beautiful light that's there, and then they're kind of moving around the sacred space. And another thing about the angels is they're much more approachable. Whereas the gods and the archangels, you couldn't really get close to them or interact with them. But the angels, they're endurable. Like you can actually come up to them and you can breathe properly in their association. The vision is not overwhelming, and the priests can actually approach them personally and speak to them or interact with them. And their nature is like fire that's in constant motion. So it's the divine fire, but rather than just bring this brilliant effulgence, it's like a flickering flame. Right? And as you come near them, what you feel is the bonds of nature loosening. Again, they're kind of emanating this peacefulness. But as human beings, our consciousness is really bound within the human form. And the human life of one is one of spiritual struggle, where when we move upwards and try to transcend the boundaries of our conditioned nature. And so just by being in their association, you feel the bonds of your illusions loosening, right? So there's this peacefulness that pervades you, and a feeling like all of your struggles and all of the spiritual obstacles that are in your way, that they're somehow dissipating right then and there. And there's a sense of, from what I'm getting from what Obama's saying, there's really like a personal sense with the angels. Whereas the others were in many ways unapproachable, the angels, you can approach them, and then the way that they give gifts and benedictions are very personal. Like say an archangel will appear in the room and he saturates the room with a certain atmosphere, and everyone in the room is purified by that atmosphere and gets wisdom, and their questions are all answered, etc. But with the angel, it's much more of a personal thing. It's like he personally distributes benefits to people. You come before him and he gives this to you, and then there's someone standing behind you and he looks towards them, and then they feel whatever benediction or gift he's giving them, right? And then he may turn to another person at the rear of the room and they feel, illuminated, and the gift that he's giving comes to them. So there's a way in which he distributes the gifts, which is very, very personal. And what you feel from them, or what they give you, is a feeling of wisdom and truth. Like there's a certain level of which that angel exists within the angelic hierarchy, and so to that degree of his level, he's able to give you a feeling of wisdom and truth, and also of pure excellence and sure knowledge. So you feel this incredible illumination and insight into things, as well as a feeling of harmony and peace. So overall, it seems that the angels are very much like the archangels, but much more personal and much more sort of like interacting with you as an individual, and much more approachable. And rather than sort of manifesting that sense of strength and order, the angels are manifesting a feeling of peacefulness and harmony and sort of like confidence. If you think about it, what is harmony on the universal level of angelic hierarchy? It's really the sense that everything is in order, right? Like the archangels are bringing everything into order, and the angels are creating a sense of peace and happiness and harmony with that. It's like the wisdom of knowing that everything is all right, that everything's going to be fine, and everything is happening the way it should. And you should feel comfortable with that and peaceful with that and relax. Rest your soul, rest your spirit. Everything is going to be all right, and everything is according to the plan of God, and you should feel perfectly happy and satisfied. And so it's a very gentle and a very personal interaction. So thank you very much for listening. If you found value in this, please like and subscribe. If you're listening on iTunes, please visit srisachinandana.com/iTunes and leave a positive review. Thank you again, and we hope you'll join us next time on Gods, Demons, and Magic.